Hello everyone, here we are on set of Coffee with Kim, preparing for an incredible season 7. Join us. You're not going to believe who's stopping by for coffee.
And I've got the joy deep down in my heart. I'm waking up with your love from the start. I'm chasing the rainbow through the rain. I know it's gonna be a beautiful day.
If you have grandchildren, then you have discovered many of the reasons they are called grand. I know I have, and I'm still discovering. But have you thought about this? We grandparents are grand too. Yet, as grand as we are, we still need encouragement and support so we can instill confidence and hope and joy into those we love so very much. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee, conversations of friends of faith to encourage and equip. I'm Kim Crabill, your host. I'm excited to welcome back to Coffee a remarkable woman, Shelia Erwin. Shelia is the author of the book, Raising Up Dreamers, Find and Grow Your Child's God-Given Talents. And she writes from experience. She is the mother of 2 creative, dream-chasing sons, John and Andrew Erwin, the award-winning Christian filmmakers known as the Erwin brothers. For nearly 50 years, she's been involved in a variety of ministries with a particular passion for investing in the lives of other women. But being a parent and now a grandparent has been her great delight. It is as a grandmother that she comes to us today. And when we return, we'll find out about the grandmother who was a profound influence on Sheila's life, and we'll ask Shelia what she means by the phrase, teach as you live. We'll be right back.
Burdens to blessings. Cherished. Infinitely more. Perfectly imperfect. These are just some of the many books, DVDs, and teaching series available on kimcrabill.org. You can find all of her merchandise at kimcrabill.org/shop.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee. Well, we're talking about one of my favorite subjects today, being a grandmother. Welcome, Shelia. I'm so glad that you're back, and we're going to just sit here and gloat in our joy.
In our grands.
In our grands. Being a grandmother, I always heard, was spectacular. I don't even think that's a word that's grand enough for it. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. Well, you get the privilege of seeing your children parent.
Yes.
There's a song by the Owens, Patricia and Ron Owen, that says, "Child of my child, I love you." Yes. And that's what they are, child of our child. Yes. And to be a grandmother is just, it's just so fun. I'm a Mimi. What are you?
Oh, I'm Gigi.
Gigi and Mimi. Well, I've got one of my board members is a Gigi, but she says that's for glorious grandmother, or gorgeous grandmother.
Or glamorous.
Glamorous
grandmother.
Yeah. Well, all those wonderful adjectives. But anyway, yeah. And so, but I'm Mimi.
Yes.
Mimi.
Yeah, and mine just came up with it on their own. And Lee's my husband's Pops, so we're Gigi and Pops. But so how many grandchildren do you have?
7.
7. And
7.
Ages?
We start at 13. We have 2 13-year-olds.
Oh.
People think we have twins. We don't. Each boy has a 13-year-old, and they're 3 months apart.
Oh, my goodness.
And then they range all the way down to, we have 2 5-year-olds. And they're not twins either.
Oh, my goodness.
And they are 4 weeks apart.
Oh, my goodness.
And they were actually born when they were making, which movie was it? I Can Only Imagine, I think.
Wow.
But I can't remember for sure. I think it was I Can Only Imagine. Right before they started. So yeah, we have all in between. We have 4 boys and 3 girls. And so.
Well, I'm fairly new at it. We have a 3-year-old, Cohen Bailey, she is my heart. And then we have little Ford, who is just, they're just like our children. They're such the opposites. But, I started this thing with mine. With Cohen, I'll say, I love you. You're my love. And one time my son said, Mom, why do you say I love you? And I said, well, Trey, I love you. I love cold bathing. There's just something so special. But you know, grandparenting is a big topic, and I wanted to talk to you about it because my grandparents played such an important role in who I am, my salvation with Christ. They began planting seeds in me, and I don't even know where I would be without the role of my grandparents. And you had a very special grandparent as well.
Yeah, I did. My grandmother, she was my mama, and so she was just wonderful, an encourager in the faith. She was there for me all through my life, and I don't know what I would have done without my mom. And I had the privilege of her living with me for her last 4 years of her life. She lived to be 97.
Oh my!
And was just absolutely a delight until the very end. Had her complete memory. If you want anything remembered, you tell Mama, and she would remember it for you. She was just a sharp lady, a pastor's wife, and just my grandfather died 20 years before her, and so she had 20 years without him, and just a delight. She just encouraged me in Jesus and made me feel like I was just the most special thing on the face of the earth.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, what did she give with you? What did she leave with you? And
that you're a delight.
Yeah.
And you matter.
Yeah.
You're special. She would light up when I would come in the room. She was just there for me and encouraged me in the Lord. Every night before the last year of her life, every night she and I would pray together. And I would go in and have prayer with her before she'd go to sleep, because by that time she wasn't able to get up a whole lot. She was mostly in a wheelchair at that point. She had myasthenia gravis. And she was just, I just felt like I was just the most wonderful thing when I was with her.
Oh my goodness! You know, my grandfather would say to me, and I think he knew that I wouldn't be with him forever because I began my life with him. But he would always say to me, Kim, I love you so much, but there's someone who loves you even more than I can. And his name is Jesus, and he'll always go with you. And those words would just ring through my head through some of the darkest and hardest times of my life. So grandparents can make a difference.
Yes.
And that's what I want to talk about today. And you have this 30-day of prayer for moms and grandmothers.
Yes.
And I want to talk about that. Why did you do this?
Well, I just started on my Facebook page and on my website of doing one day at a time, really. And so I thought, well, I think I'll do 30 days because it was becoming very, very popular with the grandmothers. It's moms and grandmothers. So a lot of people will get 2 books, and mom and grandma will have one at the same time, and we're praying for the same thing.
Right.
You know, it's so easy to say, oh, I'll pray for you, and not to pray or to pray sporadically. But the 30 days, and you can start it over. After 30 days, start back over again.
Right.
With specific scriptures and specific things to pray for that day, for that child. And I know I just told my 2 oldest grandchildren are 13, a girl and a boy, and I was telling them, you know, I'm praying for your mate. Because it's one of the things my mama did. She prayed for my mate fervently. And so my Isaac, you know, kind of looked at me like, Mama, Mimi, I'm only 13, you know. And I said,
You pushed it a little bit.
I said, well, most likely she's alive. And so we need to start praying for her. Should the Lord tarry, and should he give you a wife? She's alive. So we need to specifically start praying for her salvation, first of all, you know, and then for specific things that we would pray for. So my mama did that for me as well. But specifically praying for things together, for the mom or mother-in-law or and daughter-in-law, you know, to pray together, to have specific things that we're praying for that child on a daily basis.
And not only will this, of course, be prayerful for the child that you're praying for, but it brings the adults together.
Yes.
You're praying together, and there's so many good reasons to do this.
Yes.
So many things to talk about, but let me move on quickly. What does it mean when you talk about teach as you live? What do you explain that to us?
Okay. I think sometimes we think we got to stop and have a Bible, bring out the Bible and all the, you know, all the notes and all the commentaries and sit down with our grandchildren. And I'm not saying that that's not something we need to do sometimes, maybe, but, you know, you don't have as much time with your grandchild as you had with your children.
Yeah.
And so we teach principles as we're going, and we did that with our boys as well.
Yes.
Whatever opportunity came up of, oh, that's a great teaching moment, let's talk about that, or whatever thing that's going on, you're teaching as you're going, as you're just doing life together. You're teaching about Jesus and about the Scriptures and encouraging them in the Scriptures. And so, I know one of the stories I love was one of my, our eldest granddaughter, Kate. Oh, she loves to fish, and we live in a community that has a lake, and Hank takes her fishing a lot, but when we lived in Birmingham, we also had a lake, and Hank was taking them fishing. Well, our second grandson, Ethan, he said, "I've never caught a fish, Granddaddy. I don't want to fish." And Hank said, "Well, because you don't know the secret that Kate knows." And he said, "Well, what's the secret?" He said, "Before you put your hook in the water, you pray. Lord, give me a fish." And he said, "Okay." So he went over, he put his hook in the water, and he said, "Lord Jesus, would you give me a fish?" Well, he wasn't in there 2 seconds, so he had a big fish come in. And he was just so excited. And then one of the other grandchildren came to fish, and we heard him saying to the other grandchildren, "Do you know the secret about fishing? Do you know the secret?" And so it's pray before you fish. So you're teaching them to pray about everything.
Right, that's
that
right.
the little things matter, even whether you catch a fish or don't catch a fish.
Right.
That you're praying about those things. And so that's just a little example of things that we do, whatever we're doing. We're constantly relating it to the things of the Word and bringing out, oh, this reminds me of that. Or, I remember doing this with your dad. They love those stories. My grandchildren do. I don't know about yours.
Yes.
But they loved it. Tell me more stories about what Daddy did when he was little. Usually they like the calamity stories. But anyway, just talking to them and living your life.
And that's what Deuteronomy talks about.
Yes.
When you walk it and put it on your walls. I mean, it's just like, and to me, that's a picture of just making it a normal day, a normal part of your life. That you don't have to go inside the church, or you don't have to sit down and have this. There's this moment where we talk about God, that He is a part of everything that you do. Even just just the things that like praying before meals and nighttime prayers and reading books. I mean, there's lots of little ways that you can incorporate God in everyday life. But what about, Sheila, what about those who, grandparenting can come with some circumstances that are hard.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of those.
Well, for one thing, there's a lot of grandparents that are actually parenting their grandchildren. It's a very difficult thing. I have friends that have had to do that through problems with maybe a child is a drug addict. Both parents are drug addicts. That's one case I've dealt with. But other things, for other reasons, maybe it's financial, but they end up actually parenting the grandchild. So it's very difficult for them to get to be a grandparent.
Yes.
Because they're parent and grandparent. That's hard. But Jesus is enough, even for that.
Yeah.
But it's a special way you have to maneuver things and have to learn things. And then there's also the fact that a lot of times then that maybe that parent gets sober and they want that child back. The heartache of that child being ripped, you know that heartache.
Yes, I do.
That child being ripped from what's all the security and going back into, is it going to be okay? Is it going to be stable? Having to work through that. That's difficult as well. And then there's the grandparent that just, the grandchildren live far away.
Yes.
Thank goodness for the communication age that we live in.
FaceTime, isn't it wonderful?
And I have a portal. I don't know. My grandchildren live, one set of grandchildren live 5 minutes from me, the other 15 minutes from me.
So you have a great situation.
I have a great situation. But I still have a portal.
Yes.
And my grandchildren love the portal. They'll call and say, "Mimi, read me a story." And on the portal, it has these stories that you can read, and it puts you in like the three little piggies. You and the grandchild become the pigs, or it's really cute. It's really fun, or whatever. And so we do the portal, and we love that. One of my sons gave us that for a Christmas present, and they'll call, and they know how to use it by themselves. And the parents have had to give instructions of, you just don't call just any time. We need to make sure it's okay with Mimi and Granny.
Right.
But yeah, it's really fun, and it's a fun thing to be able to do. It's extracurricular when they're not really right there, because, busyness of school and all those things go on. You can't always be together. So, yeah, fun things.
Yeah, and what about those who live far away that maybe are a little estranged or something, or maybe don't even live that far away, but there's a contention in the family?
Yeah.
That's a heartbreaker.
That is hard. I have friends who are grandparents to children. Their grandchildren, the children that have had these grandchildren are not believers. So their grandchildren are not being raised in the things of the Lord. And sometimes they'll let them take them to church, and sometimes they don't want them to even speak about Christ. So it's a very difficult, a lot of prayer has to go into that.
Yes.
And knowing how to maneuver, it's hard. So there are some difficulties with grandparents. And the far away thing, one of the things that we discovered, I used to own a travel agency, so we traveled the world, and because of that, I used to buy all these cute little souvenirs for all my grandchildren. That gets a little pricey by the time you got 7, and then you don't ever see it again. It's like they're excited when you get home, but you don't ever see it again. Well, one time we were in, I think, Hawaii, and I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy every grandchild their own postcard, and I'm going to mail it to them. Well, you'd have thought I gave them $1 million. Yeah. They were so excited. The only problem was, in one household, 2 of the children got theirs before the other 2. They didn't all come back, even though they were mailed at exactly the same moment. They didn't come at the exact, and so they called, and we had to reassure them that theirs was on the way.
Yes.
Theirs was on the way. And I discovered the power of the written word. And in today's world, we're all about quick message, text, call, do all this. But to sit down and write, they love that. It's something tangible they can hold on to as well. And they kept those. My son Andrew that's his love language, is a written down things. I didn't really know that until he was in college, and when he came out from college, when he went to college, he took every letter, every note we'd ever written him was in a box. And I thought, oh wow, if I'd have known that, I would have written a lot more. Yeah. But my husband Hank started with our sons and with our daughter-in-laws and the grandchildren as well, periodically writing them a letter and telling them what's special about them, encouraging them in the Lord. In fact, I remember calling one of my daughter-in-laws. I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Crying my eyes out." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because I just got a letter from Dad. And it was the most wonderful thing in the world. I've never been so encouraged in my entire life." So we never know. Those little notes of encouragement, that card, or those kinds of things. Get a portal. If you're not close by, you can FaceTime as well. You can talk on the phone. You can text a message, but make sure you're communicating with your grandchildren at all times.
And find a way. If they're not close to you, distance can mess with your mind a little bit. Find a way to remember to pray for them. I want to show you one of my little secrets that I keep right beside my bed. So here's the first socks of my little granddaughter, and here's the socks of little Ford. Of course, they can't wear those now. But these stay right beside my bed. So every morning when I roll over to get out of bed, I see them, and I remember to pray for them. So these just little practical ways that I feel so engaged in their life. I need reminders. We talked about being visual. So they're just ways that I can go, okay, they're there, I love them, and just ways to pray for them. And to make a difference, like what you talk about. Yes. The things about grandparenting is that we really do make a difference in their lives if we choose to. What is one of the greatest ways that what do you want to instill in your grandchildren? What are you working toward?
I want them to fall so in love with Jesus. I want them to see that in mine and Hank's life, and their parents as well, but that our relationship with Jesus is the most important thing in the world, and that we adore Him. And we want them to adore Him as well. And so that's what I want for them as well, for them to fall in love with Jesus, to come to salvation. That's that first step. I mean, no, there's no thrill. You've not experienced that yet. There's no thrill in that grandchild, the phone ringing and them saying, "I'm a Christ follower."
You know,
you know,
you're going to be with them forever.
Forever, and knowing that they've accepted Christ as their very own, We got a cute little grandchild story. This is funny. When our little Amelia, she's Andy's second born, she's 11 now, and when she accepted Christ, she was about 5, I guess, and she wanted to come over to the house and tell us about it. So she came over and she said, I'm a Christ follower now. And she was sitting on her granddaddy's lap and telling him about it. And she said, you know, Granddaddy, Jesus lives in my heart. And so Hank said, oh, I know, baby. Jesus lives in my heart. She went, no way. No way. There's one God, and he's in my heart.
Oh!
So we had to explain an omnipresent God to a 5-year-old. But it was so cute. No way, no way. So, you know, but the thrill of that child starting, I know when we were at First Baptist Church in Dallas, W.A. Criswell would always say when a child made that initial commitment, you've taken your first step toward being a Christ follower. And so that's that first step of that. And so introducing them to the things of the Lord is just the thrill of my heart. I had the neatest time this past Tuesday night. Andy was out of town, and Mandy invited us over for dinner because everybody's been puny. Grandchildren have had tummy bugs, and we hadn't been able to get together, and so they'd been out of town, been to Disney World, and they'd just gotten back. So she invited us over, and they do classical education. They homeschool. And they have a thing where they have to pick someone in history past to represent at their thing for school. And so Mandy said to me, she said, Amelia, I want you to, I said, Amelia said to me, I'm going to do Ruth. I said, oh, Amelia, I've taught the book of Ruth so many times. She's just my favorite person in the whole world. I love Ruth. And she said, and so Mandy said, oh, Mom, would you tell her the story of Ruth? You know, and she said, I want you to tell the long version, and then I want you to tell her a 2-minute version, because that's all she has time to do. So I sat there with my little Amelia's eyes glued to mine, telling her from start to finish about Ruth and Naomi.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, and Naomi was like you and your mommy and me. She was her mother-in-law. And, you know, we went through the whole story. And then after we finished, Mandy made her tell me what she heard. And then after that, she said, now do it as if you're Ruth and in 2 minutes. And so I was able to do that for her, and Mandy took notes for her. And so next week on Tuesday night, we get to go and see her perform her little 2-minute thing on being, she'll be dressed like Ruth and do Ruth. And so what a joy.
Yes.
What a joy.
Yes.
To be able to invest in those precious, sweet little lives like that. It's
And
just a
she'll
joy.
never forget that. She will never forget that. You know, and that's just it. We don't know. We know that God's word is alive and active. It will never return void.
Yes.
You have no idea what you've just placed inside her.
Absolutely.
And that's a joy also, seeing it lived out. Well, listen, we're going to have to take a short break. We'll be right back. And I have something special for you, so we'll be right back.
Oh.
Burdens to Blessings with Kim Crabill is a program that challenges women to discover the confidence and courage to stop hiding and show their true self to God and others. Because when you are real with God and each other about the hurts and regrets you carry, you will be showered with opportunities to help other hurting people change their burdens into blessings.
For me, it's been a place where you can just go and feel welcome, feel safe, feel like you can tell the group anything and nobody's going to judge, nobody's going to laugh. People are going to nod and say, I've been there, I've been through the same things. You just feel like you're not alone.
It's an opportunity to understand that you're not alone. You're not unique going through life unhappy or sad or hurt, or we're all in it together. We're all going through something, and it's an opportunity to open that door into the room you closed 15 years ago and peek into it and express how it's affecting you and what it feels like in a very safe, loving environment.
And I think everyone can benefit from just a pure
human perspective to say, what is it that we struggle with as humans, not as Buddhists, not as Catholics, not as Christians, not as, Baptists, but as humans. We're all in different parts of our journey and different struggles, but that we do experience a lot of the same things, and that can bring us together instead of walking in judgment of each other.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee. Well, you made a point during the commercial I think it's important to talk about for just about 30 seconds, that you play hard with your grandchildren, just like you did with your boys.
Yes.
And
pursue their interests.
So
don't, everything doesn't have to be serious.
Yes.
Life's fun. We
Yes.
have fun in our house.
Yes, and same. To me, they learn more, they lean in more when you're
Yes.
laughing and having fun. I believe in belly laughs,
Oh, absolutely.
and bubbles and all those good things. Well, Sheila, here's something that I like to do with my guests, my special guests, is I like to try to find a way to honor them.
Oh.
And so when I was thinking about you, I thought about your husband, because you're such a family woman, and I love that about you. So I reached out to your dear Hank and I asked him, I said, what do you love about this woman? And I want to just read some of what he said. Yeah. Use a sock. No. He says, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. Congratulations.
In June the 8th.
50 years. Says, before we got married, I prayed that I would find a girl with an extraordinary love for Jesus. I prayed that for 2 years. And along came Sheila. I love it. And along
Sounds like a song.
I know. And along came Sheila. She was the sweetest thing, and she did love Jesus. She loved the Bible. She loved going to church. She had that extraordinary love for Jesus. In 50 years, she has been the same.
Oh.
Never changed course, never faded away, never let anything shift her. She still has that extraordinary love for Jesus, and she shows it every day, and I love her so.
Oh, wow. How sweet. I want that.
So as a mom, as a wife, as a grandmom, as a teacher, as a mentor, you are an extraordinary woman, and I just feel so blessed to know you.
Oh,
thank you for coming to have coffee with us.
Oh, thank you for asking me. This has been a delight. I could do this all day.
Well, don't tempt me, because I do want to do more. So I just want to thank you for coming, and friends, I'd like to, as always, thank you for joining us for coffee. I always feel so honored to be invited into your home, and I hope that you'll pass along something from today's conversation that will affirm a grandparent that you know, because we all need it. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on our next coffee for what I hope will be another encouraging and equipping conversation. So we'll see you next time, friends. Bye-bye.
Joy deep down in my heart. I'm waking up.